You mentioned the war. I ask what Russia's assessment, or what's your assessment of the consequences for the global economy of the war between Iran and the United States? And let's be honest, has Russia benefited from this conflict? Because long-term license has been granted to buy Russian oil. Many countries can now legally obtain this oil. President Trump, because of the oil shortages, has said, allowed, I don't know if that's the right word, allowed the world to buy Russian oil.
Oil revenues have always been important for Russia. It constituted a significant portion of our total GDP and budget revenues. But the dependence of the Russian economy and the Russian budget on oil and gas revenues has significantly decreased in recent years. That not just during the period associated with sanctions, but decreased naturally. The share of our GDP is not only related to oil and gas. Just a couple of years ago, I think in 2022, it was about 43%. If you subtract one from the other, then what fills the country's GDP with the help of oil and gas and the non-oil and gas component? It used to be 40. In my opinion, 45 to 46% of GDP came from oil and gas. And now it's only 23%. Well, the difference is colossal. And as for the revenue side of the federal budget, the Minister of Finance is sitting here. You correct me if I'm wrong. But how much used to come from oil and gas revenues? Now it is 20%, but how much was it before? 50% to come from oil and gas revenues before? And now, as the minister confirmed, only 20% of budget comes from oil and gas revenues. So to say, it is critically important for us, it is not that important. It doesn't really matter. Although, of course, it is of significant importance. 20% is still coming from oil and gas revenues. But for us, just like everyone else, for all other countries, actively developing economies, something else is more important. Well, of course, our oil and gas companies receive certain preferences in connection with the conclusion of long-term contracts due to the fact that the price of oil is rising. Well, of course, this is reflected in the budget. This is all a plus, but that's not more important. Something else is more important, like market stability, because we exist not only on oil and gas, as I just showed, but also the development of the economy as a whole. If global oil prices are too high, this affects that part of the Russian economy that is represented by real production sector. That's the whole point. Therefore, it is important for us that this price is balanced between the interests of producers and consumers. And most importantly, it should be stable. Now, if the Deputy Prime Minister can tell me how much, if I'm wrong, oil supplies to global markets have fallen to 10%. Of course, this is shaking the global economy and global energy markets. We are not interested in that. We are interested in further cooperation with our friends, for example, within the framework of this OPEC Plus organization, in order to stabilize the market and reduce its volatility. That is our priority. We will move in this direction.
Okay, I suppose that's the reason why
I think this is why Saudi Arabia is a guest country this year, but now you said it's...
Not only for this reason, because we have been friends with Saudi Arabia for many years, and we are pleased to welcome the distinguished guest.